Hi, this is Advocate Kashish Khanna, and you're watching Law Infused. What happened at Pahalgam? It was not a random act of violence, it was a part of systematic terror agenda against India. So let's understand what are India's legal rights. Under Article 51 of the Charter of United Nations, 1945, every nation has the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense. If an armed attack occurs domestically, India is empowered by several laws. First, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967 defines, bans, and punishes activities and organizations involved in terrorism. Second, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958 grants special powers to armed forces to maintain public order in disturbed areas like Jammu and Kashmir, especially Section 4. Third, the Geneva Conventions of 1949, along with their additional protocols, recognize that acts of terror against civilians may justify a lawful defensive response even across borders. Now let's understand how India responded before. Uri, Pulwama, Balakot. Remember Uri in 2016? India's special forces conducted surgical strikes across the line of control to destroy terror launch pads. Remember Pulwama in 2019? India launched the Balakot airstrikes targeting terror camps deep inside Pakistan, precisely avoiding civilian areas. Every action has been calculated legally and is proportional exactly how international humanitarian law demands under the principles of necessity and proportionality. For decades now, India submitted dossiers and evidence to the global community. Terror groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, both designated under United Nations Security Council Resolution 1267, operate openly from Pakistan. Pakistan complicity is well documented. Financial Action Task Force repeatedly placed Pakistan on its grey list for financing terror. UN sanctions report confirmed these terror groups' bases and training camps inside Pakistan. Can India strike again? Well, yes, legally. India's response must comply with three basic conditions. First, proportional response under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Second, targeting only legitimate military or terror assets under international humanitarian law, Geneva Conventions. Third, notifications to the United Nations Security Council immediately after the defensive action, as per the Article 51's reporting requirement. Through the doctrine of collective self-defense and anticipatory self-defense principles, international law supports India's right. Every time India strikes back, Pakistan threatens nuclear escalation. But under the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons 1968 and norms of customary international law, using nuclear weapons against conventional military strikes would 1. Violate proportionality, 2. Invite global condemnation, and 3. Result in Pakistan political isolation. Defense analysts confirm these nuclear threats are political pressure tactics, not viable military options. Global supports India moral high ground. Today, India commands respect on the world stage. G20 Presidency 2023 showcased India's leadership. BRICS, Quad, and United Nations partnerships reflect global trust. Democracies like the United Nations, France, Australia, many others publicly support India's right to defend against terror under international law. India's greatest strength is not just in our missiles and soldiers. It lies in our constitution, the Constitution of India 1950, safeguarding justice, liberty, and security. Our unwavering adherence to law and morality. When law and courage unite, no force, no terror group, no action can defeat India. If you believe in India's right to defend itself, share this video, like, comment, and subscribe to Law Infused, where law meets life simply and powerfully.